Well, Ryne Nelson and Randal Grichuk definitely tried to win this game while the bullpen tried to give it back. We have more on the Arizona Diamondbacks beating the Giants starting in 30 seconds. Don't go anywhere. Let's go right now. That. Welcome into Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. Welcome into the PHNX D-Backs podcast. My name is Derek Montia, occasionally known as your mayor, now, then, and forever. This man next to me, I'm going to still call him my vice mayor, even though I am replacing him with Archie Bradley. It's my vice mayor, Jesse Friedman, occasionally known as your Thunderstick. And of course, this show is brought to you by Bet365. Go download the Bet365 app right now. Use our code of PHNX365 when you sign up, choose your offer, and find out why it is never ordinary at Bet365. And of course, it's never ordinary when you watch a goddamn Arizona Diamondbacks baseball game, Jesse. The Diamondbacks win what should have been a rout by a score of 8-7. They improved to 78-61, and this game was well in hand until late in the game there in the 8th and 9th inning. The bullpen tried to do everything they could to give back this wonderful performance by Ryne Nelson and by Randal Grichuk, but luckily they were able to hold on and win this one. Not a very pretty game, though, there at the end.
It was not. No, I mean, this was one of those games where you're like, I mean, Ryne Nelson pitched so well that it felt like the Diamondbacks didn't need all these runs. All these runs were surely going to be for
unnecessary.
Naught. Randal Grichuk hit more homers than he needed to. But in reality, the Diamondbacks needed every single run that they scored in this game, including an RBI single in the top of the 9th by Christian Walker, which, of course, was helped by Corbin Carroll, who reached on a single and then
he turned a single into a triple with his legs, basically.
Essentially did exactly that. So, yeah, Christian Walker didn't necessarily look his best at the plate tonight, but came through when it really mattered late. And, yeah, this was a bit of a rough finish, but a win is a win for the Diamondbacks, and they need wins. The New York Mets won today. I believe the Braves won as well. So the teams behind the Diamondbacks continue to play well, and they were able to keep pace with a victory here tonight.
Well, I don't even know where the hell to start with this one because it was all over the place. Ryne Nelson, of course, was excellent. He was fairly flawless throughout this outing once again. He just continues to be the Diamondbacks' most consistent pitcher, more so than, honestly, I hate to say it, but even more so than Brandon Pfaadt. Brandon Pfaadt's had his ups and downs lately, more than Nelly. And Nelly has been incredible. He gave up that solo home run to Matt Chapman there in the 6th. He gave up another run. But, I mean, he was pretty good in this one. He actually threw his fastball, Jesse, 56% of the time, and threw his slider 19% of the time. That has to be some sort of record for him. But, I mean, again, like we've talked about his, the secondary pitches, and like he doesn't need to throw them a lot, but mixing those in really does improve his performances. And when he has command of those pitches, I mean, you get outings like this from Nelly regularly.
I mean, Ryne Nelson has pitched like he hasn't just been the Diamondbacks' best starter over the last couple of months, because I think we've said that a lot lately, and that doesn't mean a whole lot right now because the other starters just haven't been very good.
Yeah,
but Ryne Nelson has pitched genuinely like a frontline starter over the last couple of months, and it's not him getting lucky. It's not him having 2 strikeouts every time out and making it work. I mean, he had 9 strikeouts in this game. And the San Francisco Giants, I know Nelson has had some success against them in the past, but they're a pretty decent fastball hitting team. So we've seen Nelson at times particularly dominate teams that struggled against 4-seamers. The Giants are not one of those teams, at least not on paper. And he still was able to sort of have his way against them in this one. I mean, you look at his numbers coming into today. Over the last couple months, this goes back to the beginning of July. Opposing teams had a 634 OPS against Nelson, 66 strikeouts to 12 walks in that span. He's averaging over 6 innings per start in that span. Of course, he went 6 2/3 tonight. So Nelson just continues to be, again, like he hasn't just been the best starter on this team. He's been one of the best starters in baseball here over the last couple of months. And I'm starting to believe, Derek, that this is, I mean, I don't know if he's like sustainable, a frontline starter for forever, but I mean, that's the pitcher that he is right now.
It's wild because like this is how it happens in baseball, right? Like a guy emerges, you kind of see a few outings and you go, okay, like he's doing pretty well, but let's see him do it over a bigger sample size. Like it's 2-3 games, it's 4 games, it's a month. You know, that's how it was. Like, okay, it's July. It's been pretty much the whole month of July. I think it was like 4 out of his 6 starts were 1 earned run or less or something crazy like that. And you're like, okay, well, Nelly's cooking right now. But I mean, he's had these moments. Remember when he was called up, how good he was, and then he kind of came back down to earth. And much like, you know, position players like Jake McCarthy, right? You have these ups, these downs, and then suddenly they reach a level of sustainability with their performances, that they're going out there and it's not just a fluke. It's not just like a few good innings of your outing, but then things kind of turn on you. We've even talked about that with Brandon Pfaadt, who's been the Diamondbacks' other consistent pitcher. He has that scary inning, you know, the Pfaadt inning where like things suddenly turn on him no matter how good things are going for him. But this is different from Ryne Nelson. And I mean, it's getting to the point like that this is the emergence of one of the Diamondbacks' future starting pitchers. And we're talking about a top 3 guy in the rotation, most likely. Look, the fact of the matter is that the Diamondbacks at one point are most likely going to move on from both Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly. And even though now is not the time to talk about that, it's very exciting to think that Ryne Nelson right now is already pitching better than those guys. And there's a good chance that this might actually be the pitcher that he is. You know, I mean, he seems to just be getting better as the season goes on. And there's plenty of information about him out there now for this not to be like just a fluke. Yolber Diaz, a little different, right? Yolber Diaz comes up, he has that success. You kind of get stars in your eyes over him, but you could see as his season went on in the major leagues that guys were figuring him out more and more the more information that was out there about him. And it's not to say that Diaz can't turn into, the same kind of situation, but this is different for Ryne Nelson. This really does feel real. It feels like Torrey is going to have some difficult decisions to make when, you know, if the Diamondbacks make the playoffs, because once the Yoffs come around, you know, you might not be able to deny Ryne Nelson as one of your, you know, starting frontline pitchers.
It would feel egregious if the playoffs started tomorrow and the Diamondbacks did not have Ryne Nelson in their postseason rotation.
Right.
He's been very, very good. And again, by far their best starter here recently. Again, you know, you look at some of the numbers from today. You mentioned he threw his 4-seamer 56% of the time, which I guess is like a little bit low for him.
A little bit.
We've seen
some 60.
We've seen some 70s. But it just continues to work. I mean, he's stealing so many strikes with his 4-seamer. He had 14 called strikes on that pitch alone today, which is a really big number. He had 22 called strikes in the game. And he's throwing the other pitches just enough to keep hitters off balance. That's kind of what I keep going back to with him. The slider, he got a couple of whiffs on that today. Had 4 called strikes with that pitch. I thought he threw one of the best changeups that I've ever seen from Ryne Nelson at one point.
Yes.
I know that was floating around on Pitching Ninja. That was just a nasty pitch. And this is the way it's kind of been with Nelson for a while, where every once in a while you see one of those secondary pitches and it's like, whoa, that was a really good one. Do that again. And Nelson just hasn't had a ton of consistency with those pitches. It's not to say at this point that he has this extremely good changeup or this extremely good slider, that any of those pitches are necessarily plus, but I think they're all viable. They're all giving hitters other things to think about. And the fastball, as we've said from the beginning, continues to be one of the best in all of baseball. And when you command it the way that he is right now, you get games like tonight.
It was impressive. 6 2/3 innings pitched, 4 hits allowed, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts for Nelly. I think the other impressive thing is that 6 2/3 innings is like the norm now for him. I mean, it's the length that he's been able to give them.
5 straight quality starts at this point.
Right. And I mean, you know, the length is necessary when the bullpen is doing the things that the bullpen did tonight. I mean, Ryan Thompson, and again, this might be one of those situations where I've had this philosophy I've talked about on the show, blaming the player or blaming Torrey, right? And with pitching at times, I do really feel like it's kind of a matter of times, at times, of blaming Torrey, right? Like, you're not giving guys a chance to like leave games with a good outing and something confident to build on the next time. You're leaving them in entirely too long. And again, that could have been the case you made tonight with Ryan Thompson, or maybe the case that maybe Puck wasn't left in long enough, right? I mean, you could go both ways there, but the bullpen was a disaster tonight for the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I mean, it was really Ryan Thompson more than anyone else. I know Justin Martinez didn't have his. Yeah. It was a little dicey for him too, but yeah, Ryan Thompson has just not pitched great, frankly, for the last month or so, and he still has an ERA in the low threes. You know, it's not like his numbers for the season are terrible. He was so good for the first few months of the season, but he's definitely looked a little bit shaky recently. The command on the sinker hasn't been quite as good. You're seeing a lot more of those pitches land up in the zone, and that's exactly what wound up being a home run in this game for Mike Yastrzemski. So yeah, the command has just not been there, and Thompson continues to struggle a little bit. I know the big question in terms of Torrey for this game is, it feels like we're always parsing through Torrey's bullpen decisions. That's what our show consists of at this point.
We should make that a segment.
We probably should just make that a segment. But yeah, the sort of controversial decision that Torrey made today was bringing in AJ Puck to face one hitter, which wound up being a right-handed hitter because the Giants pinch hit for Grant McCray with Luis Matos, and he strikes him out, does his job. And then Torrey decides not to bring Puck out for the next inning, despite the fact that the first hitter would have been Mike Yastrzemski, who's a left-handed hitter. And I don't think Bob Melvin would have pinch hit for him. So I understand where people are coming from on that. One thing I will say is that if you do bring Puck out, then he has to face the minimum 3. So he wouldn't have just been able to face Yastrzemski. He also would have had to face Tyler Fitzgerald, who's really crushed left-handed pitching. So I imagine that played into Torrey's calculus. I think more than anything, like beyond the left-right stuff, the best argument for leaving Puck in is just that Puck has been the best reliever on this team by a pretty wide margin for a while now. And it feels like, you know, just looking back on this game, like the fact that it was AJ Puck who faced one hitter and Justin Martinez and Ryan Thompson faced so many, it just feels like that's not the way that you'd necessarily want to draw it up. I mean, AJ Puck, I had his numbers up here a second ago. His numbers since joining the Diamondbacks are ridiculous.
7 foot tall Amish-looking man. I mean, he's intimidating and terrifying.
What more do we have to say
about his numbers? Like, can you imagine facing that? I mean, like, okay, the 7 feet tall, that speaks for itself. But the Amish part, they are so hardworking, right? Like, you have no idea the amount of work that man's put in to get to the level where he's at.
So I do have Puck's numbers now. So including today, AJ Puck, since joining the Diamondbacks, has pitched 15 innings, allowed 8 hits, 1 run. He has 2 walks and 23 strikeouts in 15 innings of work. He has been the team's best reliever.
And he's only pitched 15 innings.
Right. And it feels like the fact that AJ Puck is a lefty sort of works against him in Torrey's system, right?
Yes.
He's being saved for specific moments. He's being used, like in today's case, to get one key hitter out, to get out of a tough spot, and then you're passing the baton to somebody else for the next inning. Yeah, I understand where people are coming from. Hindsight is 2020. Like, if Ryan Thompson pitches a 1-2-3 eighth, like, we're not having this conversation. But I see where people are coming from for sure.
First, I want to address Tony's comment right there. He said, despite our frustrations, I don't think we'll ever get into Torrey's head with his decisions. It'll be a crazy ride to the end of this season. I think that's something that, like, at times we try to explain simply because it's not to say we even understand Torrey's decisions, but we're present when he gives the explanation and the thought process behind it. And Torrey does at times, especially in like the pregame pressers, that we don't even post this stuff or even talk about it that often, but that's where he goes kind of into detail sometimes about why he does the things he does with guys and why he manages the way he manages. And like, you kind of hear it over and over. And a lot of it really is like Torrey feels like part of his job is building these guys up and building their belief in themselves. And at times, yes, managing games, like that's all we as fans care about, right? Is the results. We just care about the wins and losses. And at times, Torrey has so much more that he's trying to manage. He's trying to manage 6, 7, 8 games ahead sometimes in a way that we don't really think and have to worry about scheduling out in the same way that a major league manager schedules. I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but I think that this comment is very right, is that even when we sit up here and criticize his decisions, especially with the bullpen, like, yeah, I mean, things don't go right you're sometimes, and then when they don't go right, you as the manager are now to blame for it. Like Jesse said, if he goes out there and shoves, this is not discussed. I will say that leaving Ryan Thompson out there for as long as he did seems silly, especially considering that Ryan Thompson didn't look like he had his best stuff tonight.
Yeah.
And there's just a point where, you're going to end up just getting yourself into the mess that you're getting yourself into, and then going to the person that you don't really want to turn to anyway, right? Like they end up going to Justin Martinez for a 4-out save, which I didn't like, and they didn't have the best results, but the end result is that the Diamondbacks won the game. And the end result there was that Justin Martinez was able to not let things completely spiral out of control despite not being perfect tonight, and lets this team walk away with a win. Sean said it earlier. Jesse said it. A win is a win, and that is tonight's win. Like, you're not happy about it. You're not leaving here like patting yourselves on the back like you would have had this been a 7-1 victory or an 8-1 victory. It would have been much different. But you're still leaving here thinking, well, they got the job done.
So let's play through that 8th inning.
Let's do it.
So, like, if you were going to hypothetically take Ryan Thompson out sooner, I'm just curious when people think that should have happened. And I imagine that you're thinking of going to maybe Kevin Ginkel in that spot, because you probably don't want to bring in Justin Martinez any earlier than he was already brought in. Although like I guess there were 2 outs for a while in that inning.
There were.
So
that's what I'm saying.
It still would have been a 4-out save for him. But
I think maybe after the single.
Yeah, so it was a Yastrzemski homer. Tyler Fitzgerald strikes out. Helio Ramos singles. Matt Chapman strikes out. So at that point, you've got 1 runner on base and 2 outs. Thompson is already allowed to run, yes, but he's 1 out away from getting out of the inning. And that would seem a little bit early.
And it's a 7-3 ball game at that point.
Right. And then Lamont Wade Jr. walks on 4 pitches.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, maybe there was an element of wanting to be careful there, but obviously Thompson's command was not great. And then Thompson allows...
They intentionally walked...
They intentionally walked him in the 9th.
Oh, that's right.
I believe this was in the 8th. Ryan Thompson was just struggling to throw strikes. So at that point, you've got 1st and 2nd 2 out. Thompson has just walked the guy on 4 pitches. I could maybe see wanting to take him out there. He winds up facing Gerard Encarnacion, who singles. That scores a run, and then Jorge Barrosa makes a throwing error. Ryan Thompson wasn't backing the play up in the right spot. Suddenly, those runners are at 2nd and 3rd instead of just 1st and 2nd. Maybe that's where you want to pull him. Torrey was 1 guy after that. He allowed Patrick Bailey to drop down a bunt that Ryan Thompson did not successfully field. And that's when Torrey eventually made the decision. So, I mean, are you bringing in Kevin Ginkel to face Patrick Bailey? Like, that's a little weird because Patrick Bailey is a left-handed hitter. I guess maybe you're bringing in Ginkel to face Encarnacion. I think I could maybe see that as well.
I probably wouldn't have removed Puck from the game, so it's hard for me to say like where I would have done it. But yeah, I mean, I probably would have gone to somebody else at that point. You know what I mean? Like, I
hate to use like Puck, Thompson, Ginkel, and Martinez
all in this game
in a game that your starter pitched 6 2/3 innings.
It's gross.
But
that's gross.
Yeah, maybe the result would be a little bit cleaner. Although I will also say Kevin Ginkel did not throw well at all in his last outing. I believe he faced 3 batters and all of them reached. So
I still think Ginkel should be in that role that Ryan Thompson is in. I think that setup role is better fit for Kevin Ginkel. I think the only problem is, and you brought this up earlier before we started the show, is that Kevin Ginkel is so good with inherited runners. So, like, typically that setup role is just starting the 8th inning clean. And I mean, it almost seems like a misuse of somebody who's very talented at coming into games, with runners on.
Yeah. I mean, I think the larger reality here is, like, yes, I understand people maybe having gripes with some of the decisions that Torrey made tonight, but it's hard to manage a bullpen when there's AJ Puck and everyone else, right?
Yeah.
Like there just aren't really. I get Ginkel, despite his last outing, has pitched better lately, so maybe you'd put him in a separate category. But Ryan Thompson has not pitched very well lately. Justin Martinez continues to be in the closer role, and he did get the job done tonight. He hasn't blown a save since he took over that role, which is impressive. But he has looked a little shaky recently, right?
Yeah.
So this just isn't like last season around this time.
Have the meeting with him before the inning, Jesse. I told you that. They waited until the last batter to have the meeting with him, and then he goes out there and freaking absolutely blows the guy away. What are we doing here? Let's get out there. Let's have that meeting first thing before any batter even comes up. and let's get Justin Martinez's head right. The offense definitely tried to do that, and the offense did everything they could tonight to win. Of course, we talked about Randal Grichuk, who was outstanding, but the Diamondbacks once again had an early big lead, and it made you feel like this game was a lock early on. I think they scored 6 runs in their first 3 innings, 3 runs in the first, including a 2-run Randal Grichuk home run. Then they scored 1 in the second, and then 2 more again in the 3rd inning. So the Diamondbacks did offensively what they've been doing all season long.
Yeah. This team just continues to score like 8 runs every single day, and it just keeps happening. And Randal Grichuk was a really big part of that today. He continues to be very hot. I think it was about a week ago that we were talking on the show about how Grichuk wasn't really hitting lefties to the extent that we expected him to. And he sure changed that narrative pretty quick here over the last week.
Well, of course, the offense scored in the 3 in the first on a Perdomo single. Carroll doubled. Josh Bell, who was in the lineup as the DH, he got an RBI single and RBI ground out, and then the Grichuk 2-run home run. Then Jorge Barrosa reached on a fielder's choice, stole second, scored on a Perdomo single. That is one of 2 runs tonight that the Diamondbacks scored that ultimately, like you said, they needed all of those runs that they scored with their legs. And Corbin Carroll's was the most important there in the 9th inning when he got on with that single, stole second, stole third, and then comes home on that Christian Walker hit RBI single there in the 9th inning. That was the biggest run. That doesn't send us into, we're not doing extra innings right now, which would be pretty awful considering the Diamondbacks were up 7-1 at one point in this ballgame.
They also, their track record in extra innings this season is not fantastic.
Yeah.
But going back to Randal Grichuk, the guy has been on an absolute tear here over the last week.
Yeah.
He did wind up recording outs in his final 2 plate appearances today. But before that, Derek, he was 9 for his last 13 with 4 home runs. And that was a span of 14 plate appearances. There was a walk in there as well. And in that span of 14 plate appearances, Grichuk's OPS went from 735 to 836.
That's crazy.
And Grichuk's not an everyday player, right?
He hasn't been playing much.
Yeah,
so of course
his numbers will change a little faster, but still at this stage in the season, a guy who's been healthy the entire season, barring like a few days on the aisle at the beginning of the year, for his OPS to go up 100 points in the span of 14 plate appearances is absolutely insane. He has been everything the Diamondbacks. I mean, the season as a whole at this point, I mean, his OPS is over 800. Like Randal Grichuk has been everything you really could have hoped him to be this year.
Absolutely. And of course, for all the reasons that Jesse said and for his performance tonight, Randal Grichuk is our king snake in this one. 3 for 5, 2 home runs, 3 RBI, and just couldn't be stopped. This man couldn't be stopped. He added that solo home run in the 5th inning that made it 7-1.
That was against a righty.
And that one was against a righty.
Yeah.
But they needed every bit of these runs to win this game. And this win was pivotal, as Jesse started to show off by saying. The Diamondbacks just can't afford to lose games right now. The Mets continue to stay red hot. The Braves still find a way to win and stay relevant. But, I mean, this is right now, it's coming down with the Cubs losing and the Cardinals as far back as they are. This is coming down to basically, kind of a 4-horse race for 3 wild card playoff spots. And I mean, hopefully the odd man out here is somebody from the NL East in some way, or it would be great if it was the Padres. But, like everybody is very, very close right now. And I mean, the Diamondbacks just can't afford to lose. These are the games that they need to win. They went out there tonight. They got a big lead early, and it would have been fairly devastating to their season to lose this one game. We try not to get too high or low on the wins and losses during the regular season, but it would be hard after going 2 for 5 on the homestand that they just had. It would be pretty hard to lose this one after being up as significantly as they were.
Yeah, it would have been. I mean, the vibes on this post-game show already aren't like great, Derek.
Yeah,
the vibes on that post-game show would be really, really bad.
I almost were high-fiving and stuff.
I almost played the Lost music on the intro.
Yeah, you did. Because it feels like that.
I felt like for a second,
the
I was like, we lost this game, right?
Yeah, no, we didn't. We won 8-7. Let's not forget that every win is a win.
They really played great for about 5 innings. And then the end of the game, not so great.
Well, let's take a look at the Major League Baseball standings because things are getting interesting here. Of course, the Dodgers, Phillies, and Brewers are all stay up there at the top. The Padres currently have that number 1 spot for the wild card with a 3-game lead on the Braves. The Diamondbacks keep pace with a 2.5 game lead over the Braves. 79-61 for the Padres, who did not play today and had the weirdest goddamn schedule with the Tigers I think I've ever seen. They played a game yesterday, had today off, and then played 2 more or 3 more.
I think they were just really bitter for having to work on Labor Day.
Yeah,
so they're like, all right, we got to make up for this on Tuesday.
It's
no
crazy.
game Tuesday. The Padres bizarrely did not play, but yeah, again, I mean, every win at this stage of the season is so big for this team. Fangraphs gives the Diamondbacks an 87.9% chance to make the playoffs as of the end of today. So I think that ticked up just a wee bit. But the Mets, man, I mean, the Mets just keep winning. They have not lost a game since they left Arizona last week. Granted, they played the White Sox over the weekend, so you sort of take those games with a grain of salt. But they've just continued to play really, really good baseball. And I think David Peterson had 11 strikeouts or something like that today. So their starting rotation is really in a groove. And Francisco Lindor homers every single day, apparently, at this point. So the Mets are more in this race at this point than I think I would have expected as of a couple months ago. I think I underestimated their ability to do what they're doing right now. And a lot of it is that rotation, as I just mentioned. Like Sean Manaea might get down ballot Cy Young votes, and David Peterson has been really, really good for them. So this race is not going to be over anytime soon.
You know who we need to call? Ronald McDonald.
I think he would help.
I think he would go take out Grimace for us.
Oh,
they have beef. They've had a long-standing beef. Damon, do we have some super chats? Zach Gonzalez, thank you so much for your super chats. Let's start with his first one. He said, can someone explain why we keep Puck for only 1 batter? Dude has been nails. I think Jesse did address that earlier, but I mean, analytics and overthinking perhaps, and not just realizing that he truly is your best arm. Then you should just trust him to face batters no matter what, because ultimately they're going to be able to counter, Puck being out there and put a righty in anyway, so whatever. But
I mean, I think in that moment too, it almost felt like a very aggressive move for Torrey to use Puck in that spot in the first place, because the Diamondbacks were up 7-2.
Yeah,
this wasn't a particularly close game at that point. It felt like Torrey was being very conservative, wanting to play it safe by just going to Puck for that one hitter. In a 7-2 game, maybe you don't feel the need to use a guy as valuable as Puck to get 4 outs.
Right.
So I imagine that played into Torrey's calculus. But again, with how the 8th inning played out, it's easy to look back on that and, wonder what happens if Puck stays in the game instead.
And I don't think Puck has pitched much lately. So maybe it was just about getting him in there and maybe just getting that one third of an inning of work and just getting some work in and still having him be an option in this series later on. Zach also, thank you for your super chat, Zach. Thank you for both of them. Zach also says, can't believe we almost gave up a win to a T-ball team with 3 infield errors. LOL, I'm mad, especially after Nelly shoving. The defense was so bad it was driving Jesse nuts.
Yeah.
Like their defense was so bad that Jesse was just giving a whole bunch of oh goshes about what the hell we were watching out there.
Hey, watch it with our new language guidelines. That was a push.
I don't mean to. I got to clean it up around here. We got to bring the swear jar back, that's for sure. But it did feel like that after a while. Like the Giants definitely did not play a solid game, and there's no reason why they should have lost this game only 8-7. One more up there for the super chat from our guy Piece of Yoshi. Piece of Yoshi says, does this pen not know that Nelson is like one shining star in this rotation? Because they do this shit every time he leaves the mound. And yes, I mean that's you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It really does feel like Ryne Nelson goes out there, especially lately, dazzles, and then we're still somehow talking about the game getting out of control or whatever the case may be. So thank you so much for your super chat. We appreciate that. And of course, we appreciate you guys being here in the PHNX Sports YouTube channel right now. Thank you, Sean. Yes, that is, oh gosh, is Jesse's equivalent to the F word for sure.
Do I have to stop saying
No. That wasn't
Okay.
allowed. That's not one of the 7 words we can't say anymore. But
Just be careful.
Yeah, just
right.
walk a fine line.
That's where the buck stops.
Yeah, we gotta make sure we clean things up around here. I can't upset Ruth anymore, that's for sure. But
the swear jar, we might need to take it seriously.
Oh yeah, no, we definitely have to take the swear jar seriously. Like I was taking it seriously the whole time, but like made enough money that I didn't care and I would pepper it in there. And that's not me bragging about the amount of money I make. I just don't have a problem putting money in a jar that's eventually going to go to charity, allegedly. Johnny Walker, thank you for your super chat. He says, go D-backs. That's an old buddy of mine right there. Again,
since when? How long have you known him?
I'm not allowed to talk about how long we've known each other. We're just old friends. But of course, we thank all of you for being here in the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do so now. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss when this group of crazy people that I work with go live around here. Of course, also leave us a like. That's for my self-esteem. That's for my own personal value. That makes me feel good about myself. Jesse, completely confident, doesn't need anything from anyone ever. It's amazing. No compliments ever for this guy. Of course, if you're listening on the audio podcasting side, make sure you subscribe over there. We'd love it if you do. Subscribe on your favorite podcast app. It doesn't matter which one. And leave us a review. We always appreciate those reviews. They mean the absolute world to us, especially those 5-star reviews. We do have some ads that we have to take care of, a little commercial break. But when we come back, we'll get into these numbers from this particular game. But of course, first, we got to talk about Z-Biotics, because Z-Biotics is the perfect way to make sure if you have a fun night planned ahead, that you have a fun morning the day after. This is a game-changing product for use before a night out with some drinks. So I don't bounce back like I used to from anything anymore. Working out, going out for a night of drinks, staying up past 9:00 p.m. every single night. That is until I found Z-Biotics pre-alcohol. Of course, it's a surefire way to wake up feeling fresh the next morning after a night of having some drinks with friends. Of course, it's the pre-alcohol is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. It works basically where you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. And this byproduct, not dehydration, is to blame for your rough day next day, even though it feels like it's always dehydration. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember, all you got to do is take your Z-Biotics before your first drink of the night. Make that your first drink of the night and drink responsibly. You'll feel your best tomorrow, whether it's vacations, weddings, birthdays, reunions. There's so much going on. And you can get the most out of your summer plans by stocking up on pre-alcohol now. Go to zbiotics.com/PHNXBacks to get 15% off your first order when you use PHNXBacks at checkout. Pre-alcohol is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/PHNXBacks and use the code PHNXBacks at checkout for 15% off. Also, make sure to check out our friends at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, because no one does it better. You can visit any one of their 4 locations, Wild Horse Pass, Lone Butte, Vikiva, and Santan Mountain, to experience the best that the Valley has to offer. Right now, you can, of course, check out their resort. You can go for a fun night out, check out their over 4,500 slots and live table games, or catch all the action at any one of their sports books. But of course, you can catch the action with us, because we will be there doing our live shows from there, having watch parties for the Suns, Cardinals, all fall, all year long. So make sure to join us for all of our events. You can head to Gila River Resorts and Casinos anytime, though, for a great time. And of course, you have to let them show you what the next level is all about. I can't explain to you what the next level is all about. It's actually a secret. I did discover it the other night at our draft party. I achieved the next level at post-draft party, and it was amazing. Fat burgers were included. There was some riding the red wave on the roulette table, whole other thing. But winning
some cold hard cash.
Just winning some cold hard cash. Just doing the thing. You know what I mean? Just supplementing my income. But you figure that out yourself at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, because you do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos.
Not hard to figure out.
It's not everybody's going to get it. I'm just saying not everybody's going to get it, but I know our viewers will definitely figure it out, because, you know, you guys get it. You guys, it's a secret though, and I can't share it with you because you have to figure it out yourself. Of course, visit playathegila.com for more details. Damon, I don't even, do I have to even ask? Do we have a thing? Do we have any? No. Yes. Can I go on? All right. Well,
I don't know what's happening right
I don't know either. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we do actually have some extra ads we have to play.
I don't even know why did I even give him the opportunity to play any of this, because I know that none of this is my doing. So I just have to sit here and blindly wait to see what surprises you have in store for me. Let's go.
It hasn't been an easy year for Arizona sports fans. The community is reeling from disappointing records, playoff exits, and the loss of an entire franchise. It's time to leave all that behind. It's time for new leadership, A new voice to usher in a better era for all of us. One that leads with positivity first. That's why Petey is the right choice for the candidate of mayor of PHNX. Petey isn't afraid to speak up for what is right. No new jobs, no new tax revenue. He's not afraid to challenge authority. An open letter to Mr. Alex Morello. Petey knows how to bring people together. He reaches across the aisle in an effort to unite us all, across all sports, across all cities. He's not going to lead with negativity and divisiveness.
These are in a box. Hey, PHLY, I can't wait to see what t-shirts you guys pick out.
I got all sorts of problems with you, Dallas.
Time to shed the negativity and turn to the positive choice. One that can help you build a floor and build a wall. He is always there to lend a helping hand to get things done. Petey is positive. Petey is for the people. Petey is the right choice to be the next mayor of PHNX. Paid for by Petey for mayor. I'm Petey, and I approve this message.
Oh my God, Petey. Oh.
There have been some good ads, Derek, but that was pretty impressive.
I don't know how to counter that. But you know who does?
Your campaign manager?
No, the Espo pack. Damon, if you would.
Steve Peters. He'll tell you he's for the people. But which people does he really want to serve?
He reaches across the aisle in an effort to unite us all across all cities.
A mayor of PHNX should serve the people of Phoenix, but for Petey, that's something he just wants to duck.
What are you doing, Petey? What is
Are you hiding from the truth?
Instead of being too busy focusing on other cities, you need a mayor who focuses on Phoenix, not Philly or Chicago. Petey, who is he really for?
I'm leaving. I'm leaving. That's it. Ethical Standards and PHNX officials is responsible for the content of this advertising.
It's pretty damning. Makes you think, doesn't it?
It does.
Anyway. All right, well, let's take a look at the count presented by Desert Financial Credit Union because this one, of course, makes 0 sense. Diamondbacks win by a score of 8-7 over the Giants. Both teams had 11 hits. The Diamondbacks were 5 for 10 with runners in scoring position, while the Giants were 3 for 10. The Giants inexplicably had 5 extra base hits to the Diamondbacks' 3 extra base hits. And, of course, the expected batting average is 224 for the Giants and 225 for the D-backs.
This Giants lineup is a little different than what we're used to, right? Like the big boppers in the middle of this lineup are a couple of players that you might not have really heard of or might not be too familiar with, right? I mean, Tyler Fitzgerald is not exactly a household name as far as I'm aware, although he did homer in 12 straight games or something at one point. It wasn't 12, but it was a lot. So people might have heard his name from that. But yeah, Tyler Fitzgerald has an 885 OPS this year, and he bats second for the San Francisco Giants. And Heliot Ramos has an 824 OPS and hits third. And there are some pieces in the middle of this lineup that are some good young players, guys that we haven't seen. It seems like the Giants, the middle of that lineup has been mostly veterans, guys who've been around for a while. For a number of years now, and it has a little bit of a different look, and it's not bad. Like the middle of the Giants lineup, I think is maybe a little better than what we've seen in years past.
Well, of course, we know Petey, he definitely lies. And Espo, we know for a fact lies, and is very dangerous. Espo is radical. Espo is dangerous. But we know the numbers, they don't lie. Damon, throw those up there. What do we got, Jesse, for tonight's number?
So this is the numbers for mayor campaign.
Correct.
That's who we should be voting for.
Yes,
vote for the numbers. The numbers don't lie.
We got to look at the numbers for the mayor campaign.
Today's number is 8.76, and this goes back to Ryan Thompson and some of the struggles that he has had. This is Ryan Thompson's ERA going back to August 1st. So about over the last month, Ryan Thompson has an 8.76 ERA. That's 12 earned runs and 12 1/3 innings pitched. If you look at some of the peripheral stats, they're also not great in that span. He has a 2.03 whip over the last month or so, and a 364 opponent batting average. Opposing hitters have gone 20 for 55 against him in that span. So I know people were talking about it in the chat earlier. Where do you go from here with Ryan Thompson? And I know you recommended maybe the D-backs take him out of that eighth inning role that he's landed in for pretty much the entire season. Maybe you put Ginkel back in that spot. Maybe you put AJ Puck back in that spot. I'm not sure exactly how people feel, but it's been a while now. This isn't just 1 or 2 outings for Ryan Thompson. It's been a bit of a trend for him at this point.
Yeah, well, and I mean, the Diamondbacks really have relied on him at one point, right? This was a man with a sub-1 ERA for a decent chunk of the season before, things started to kind of come back down to earth for him a little bit, but then they drastically shifted in the other direction, and I don't know what it is. I feel like he needs more pro wrestling in his life.
That usually does the trick.
For Ryan Thompson, it does the trick. I don't know. One or the other. Like, I'm not sure. But, of course, it's frustrating because, again, this is one of those things just like the injuries, which we'll talk about, right? The Diamondbacks get Christian Walker back, and they lose Lourdes Gurriel Jr. It's like they almost have to sacrifice somebody else in order for somebody to be healthy. The bullpen feels like that at times. It feels like someone has to be bad in order for someone else to be good. And the better someone is, the more someone has to be bad. Paul Sewald's had his life force drained from him, and now something's happening to Ryan Thompson, and I don't like it. But I also don't like the way that this series with the Dodgers went. I don't really want to talk about it too much, but what is your level of concern considering the Diamondbacks lost that series 1-3 to the Dodgers here at home?
It wasn't great. Yeah. It was not the way that you would have drawn it up, right? If the Diamondbacks really wanted to position themselves to have a shot at winning the NL West, in my mind, you really had to take 3 out of 4. You had to take that 4-game lead and cut it down to 2 games. And obviously they were not able to do that. They weren't even able to split the series. They wind up losing 3 out of 4. And now you're looking at a 6-game deficit in the division. And the Dodgers also have the tiebreaker. So, and I know they won again today. So you really have to be 7 games better than the Dodgers the rest of the season in order to beat them in the NL West, which feels pretty unrealistic to me at this point. So yeah, it was a rough series. I think it exposed some issues for the Diamondbacks, one of them being starting pitching. That's something that I wrote about after the game last night. The Diamondbacks got healthy on August 11th, and ever since then, they've had one of the worst starting pitching ERAs in all of baseball. Their starting pitching ERA since achieving full health is actually worse than it was before that. They had a 5.56 starting pitching ERA entering the game today. That's going back to that August 11th date that I mentioned earlier. So that was an issue throughout the series. I know Brandon Pfaadt pitched pretty well in one of the games, but Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, Eduardo Rodriguez, all those guys struggled. And the other flaw that I think we saw exposed in that series is catching base stealers. I believe the Dodgers went 8 for 8.
Yes.
And I was shocked, Derek, to discover yesterday that Adrian Del Castillo and Jose Herrera combined have caught 2 attempting base stealers all season long. Obviously, Del Castillo, the sample's maybe a little smaller. But yeah, both guys have caught 1 attempting base stealer. And you're really starting. I mean, offensively, Adrian Del Castillo has helped cushion the blow of losing Gabriel Moreno. But defensively, neither of these guys have been anywhere close to the defensive catcher that Gabby Moreno is. Obviously, he's one of the best, given that he won the Gold Glove last year.
Elise said there, we need Gabby back. That's not the only Gabby comment. Who says, Gabby Moreno, I miss you so much. We all do. We absolutely miss Gabby.
You missed us so.
And it's not even the offensive production. I mean, obviously, ADC is coming back to earth, right? He's not the offensive beast that he was. He's really struggled at the plate. And, I mean, behind the plate, he has not been very good. So, I mean, these are just things that remind you of what a special player Gabby is and how much we do indeed miss him. And I mean, same thing goes for Ketel. Kevin Newman was outstanding tonight. Defensively, he was outstanding at the plate. Like, Kevin Newman really has been excellent for this team. When you really think about it, what a great pickup Kevin Newman, and just a low-key guy that kind of fills in wherever and comes in when asked and gives a good outing, right? But this team is definitely missing their stars, and it was great to get Christian Walker back tonight, and it was great for him to at least get in the rhythm with that RBI single there in the 9th inning that ended up, of course, being very critical for this team. Like, Christian Walker comes in and has arguably one of the biggest hits of this game by bringing in Corbin Carroll there in the 9th inning. So I think the level of concern for me is in regards to getting guys back. That's my concern, is getting these guys back, being at 100%, but not just like barely crossing the finish line with these guys returning. Like, we need them back to get reps. We need them to get comfortable and get back to playing at the level that we're used to seeing them play at before the playoffs come around, so that this team is ready. I think honestly, a lot of those things, especially when it comes to Gabby, it's more about his defense. Like with what's going on with this team offensively, they seem to be able to deal with the opposition scoring some runs right now. This team's strength is offense, and that's just a crazy thing to say because of how many times Torrey and Mike Hazen have both said that really wasn't going to be the case with the way this team is constructed.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I should check this again now. The Diamondbacks, I believe they're at 757 runs scored on the season now. And the next highest team is the New York Yankees at 708. So they have scored 49 more runs than the next highest scoring offense in all of baseball. The amount of depth here in the lineup is really incredible. You were just talking about Kevin Newman. Like, Kevin Newman is not an everyday player for the Diamondbacks, and yet he's been very close to a league average hitter. There's a lot of value to be had in a player like that. So yeah, I mean, the Diamondbacks are they're like the anti-Seattle Mariners. Their starting pitching has been abysmal, but they absolutely rake. And somehow that's just the way that this season has gone.
Suck it, Shane.
I still don't really understand it, but that's the team that the Diamondbacks have been this year.
Anthony Totri is in the chat, and he's talking about standing in the spot. I think after PD joined the race that I might need Anthony Totri to stand in the spot for my mayoral campaign.
I think that's when your mayoral campaign goes down the drain.
Really
there.
is having Anthony and Totri involved. Look,
I just think, Totri involved in any capacity just feels like a bit of a mistake. So
wow,
that's rough with the man in the
bold
chat
words
right now.
from Jesse here. Tanner had some interesting thoughts.
That's an indictment if I've ever heard one. Zach Gonzalez, thank you again. He said, "Let's flush this one." Tori, yep, probably. That's probably.
I mean, the D-backs won, so I don't think Tori's going to say, "Let's flush this one." I mean, he only says that for losses. He
won't focus too much on the negatives. Is definitely what he won't do in this one. But hopefully, he thinks a little bit more about that bullpen. Johnny Walker, thank you for your super chat. He says, "I'm trying to balance my super chat contribution evenly for a win and or a loss. Not easy. We appreciate your efforts, sir. Thank you." For your years of service. Piece of Yoshi has one for Damon. He says, "Damon, I need to know what you thought about Bert trying to make friends with the Dodgers guy on Sunday."
Should we get into this whole thing? Because
Bert,
Piece of Yoshi, I wasn't watching on Sunday.
Bert. It was vintage Bert based on his vintage comments from tonight.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. I wish I could have watched. Fubo.
Let's not get into it.
It was a whole thing in the office.
Did you say Fubo
or Roku?
Roku.
Yeah.
It was a whole thing in the office earlier today.
Damon is apparently like a boomer when it comes to trying to understand like alternate forms of technology.
Just,
when you break Damon's routine, he just breaks down.
You know what? I'll throw myself on camera for this one. When you, Jesse, and you did this right now. When you make me jump through hoops, when my sweet parents spend their hard-earned money.
Dennis so much.
When they spend their hard-earned money, he was pissed about Ryan Thompson tonight, Derek.
Yeah, he was.
He thought Torrey should have pulled him way earlier.
Mom was sending text messages.
When they spend their hard-earned cash, and I have to jump through hoops to watch the D-backs game, when I have a D-backs package. Inexcusable stuff.
Yeah, no,
inexcusable. Sunday before Labor Day, I'm trying to watch the Dodgers D-backs game. It's a big series. I had enough of it.
It takes 2 whole minutes to get in there. I don't know.
I do understand the inconvenience, and yeah, it's like I think they did a decent job of trying to make it as simple as possible, and it was free. I mean, you definitely did not have to pay for Roku in order to watch this game. But
people don't like changing their thing. People don't like
People don't like changing their thing, but I also feel like at this point in professional sports, I mean, national exclusivities are just a thing in all the major sports at this point, right?
Yeah.
Like I know that I guess the Suns went the route of just going over the air so that you don't necessarily have to pay to watch their games, but you can't get every Suns game that way, right? Sometimes the Suns are on ESPN or TNT or whatever. Like national exclusivities are just part of the game, so I understand it's not great, and it is frustrating the day of the game trying to figure it all out. but it's just kind of the reality of where professional sports are at.
I personally sit on the DirecTV channel and scream at it for a small amount of time when I know the game is supposed to be on until I realize that I'm the problem. It's me. I'm the problem. Of course, we got more updates on the Diamondbacks injuries and more maybe on this Dodgers series and how you can watch it or how you should have watched it. I don't know, but we'll be right back. But first, let's talk about Branded Bills, because Branded Bills has some amazing hats. And when I say amazing hats, we got a whole stack of them here in person, and you have to elevate your brand with Branded Bills. It's the perfect headwear and apparel. Some of the most comfortable hats I've ever worn on my head. It's a snapback hat with some amazing designs. They got collegiate designs, including ASU and U of A right now, with some cool incorporated with the Arizona state logo. They also have, as Jesse was perusing, some wonderful just Arizona state hats, like stuff. Not anything affiliated with any team, though there are some that are definitely Diamondbacks colors. There's a black and teal one I like very much. So look for their tremendous gear over at their website at brandedbills.com. And of course, they are a local company from right here in Mesa, Arizona, which makes it even better to partner together with a local company making such tremendous clothing. And let me tell you, when you put on one of their hats, you'll come back here. You'll be like, Derek was right. It's one of the most comfortable hats I've ever put on my head. So, of course, to try them out, head over to brandedbills.com and use code PHNX for 20% off your first order. So check out Branded Bills. Also, of course, check out Game Time. Right now, Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting your tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only the incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And let me tell you, I sometimes do like the searching, but sometimes you're in a rush, right? You got to get those tickets right away, especially if you experience the FOMO and you try to get on those tickets last minute. And you know Game Time is the place for last minute ticket deals. You can save up to 60% off by buying last minute for sports, concert, comedy shows, theater shows, all sorts of events. And of course, they have their flash deals where you can save even more. But right now, that Game Time Picks filter will flush out all of those other picks and give you the best options, the biggest deals, and the most significant discounts. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time.
Game time.
Game time. Let's go. All right, Damon, what else we got here? We did have the Diamondbacks.
Can I just add one quick note to our Roku conversation real quick?
Oh, please do.
So it turns out, Damon, I don't know what happened in your situation, but this game was available for D-backs TV subscribers the same way that they watch every game.
It said that coverage will resume tomorrow on Monday on the screen.
Because I am reading an article about this right now that says that, and I think I saw someone in the chat also say that. Maybe it was like in some forms you could watch it that way, and others you couldn't.
On Xfinity, I guess not.
Oh yeah, probably because it's Xfinity, because it's like DirecTV.
Listen, I could have easily gotten my computer out and watched this game. I'm not denying that. I also, I like to be mad about stuff. That's kind of my role.
I know. You got to hold the line.
Yeah,
you got to hold the line about something.
Come on, guys. You got to let me have my things.
We can't have him just not holding a line. He has to hold the line about something. But what he can hold the line about is hold the line for Ketel Marte coming back. Hold the line for these these IL stints to be over. Because, again, the Diamondbacks did get Christian Walker back today, but they inevitably paid for it by getting Lourdes Gurriel on the 10-day IL with a left calf strain. And, of course, it comes at a time when Lourdes Gurriel was hitting really well for this team.
Yeah, Lourdes was on a nice run. Obviously, he is very well established as one of the streakier hitters, not only for the Diamondbacks, but just sort of across the league at large. We certainly saw that at times last year. Gurriel over his last 32 games was slashing .324, .403, .500. So he was really coming around for the D-backs. So certainly, I mean, it's never a great time to lose your starting left fielder, but certainly not great timing in this situation, given that Gurriel was playing pretty well. I know that Torrey was asking questions in San Francisco today about how the Diamondbacks will make up for, or how they will sort of replace Gurriel in the lineup on a day-to-day basis. And according to Nick Picoro from the Arizona Republic, Torrey said that Josh Bell is going to play against lefties. And we saw that today. Josh Bell was in there at DH. Christian Walker, of course, playing first base. And then Randal Grichuk, rather than DHing, goes out and plays left field. So we saw that today. And then against righties, Torrey said that Pavin Smith will be getting some more opportunities. So I imagine Smith will get some of them. Maybe we see Grichuk start some games against righties. He has held his own against righties pretty much all year. So that would be interesting to see. But I think as much as this, losing Gurriel is not great by any means, I think the Diamondbacks are reasonably well positioned to replace him with some of the guys they have on their roster.
Well, and Josh Bell has done a great job this year, and it's great to see him continuing to get opportunities. And I just can't say enough about all of the guys that Diamondbacks have had step in. I talked about Kevin Newman, Luis Guillorme has been incredible for this team, but Josh Bell
to take off Josh Bell's navy blue sleeve. Me and Jesse are starting it.
Yeah, the navy blue sleeve. It just
we have to do everything.
Like we've actually been
possible.
fairly okay with guys wearing like random colored sleeves. We've actually said that they've been pretty cool. Could tell with the purple. Yeah, obviously got Perdomo and some of the other guys wearing a lot of yellow.
Yeah,
right. The yellow works.
Lourdes tends to have some purple or some crazy colors that match his shoes. We are on board with that. Josh Bell, we cannot stand your dark blue sleeve. We do not like your navy sleeve.
And the royal blue cleats.
The royal blue cleats that don't even match the sleeve. The sleeve and the cleats could match, but they don't. They're different colors, and it's very bothersome, and it definitely it disturbs Damon.
We need to make it stop.
Yeah, I can't allow
It's bothersome.
That. I don't understand why.
It's going to hurt us in the playoffs. It takes on the aura of the team, for sure.
Does swag not count for anything these days? Do you not want to have a matching outfit of some kind? I mean, could you not get yourself a teal sleeve? That would look electric, Josh Bell.
I mean, I think
offer up a teal sleeve?
I think the obvious explanation here is that Josh Bell was playing for the Miami Marlins as about a month ago. And navy blue is not a prominent color for the Miami Marlins, but I think it kind of fits with the palette a little bit, right? Whereas with the Diamondbacks,
Stop being
navy
so
blue.
Sensible. This is absolutely absurd. No,
I'm not. I mean, I am very much team Josh Bell needs to lose the navy blue sleeve. Yes. I'm just offering an explanation for how the sleeve came to be in the first place.
This isn't temporary, Josh Bell. You can take your shoes off. Like, we want you to stay for a while. Like, we don't. You know what I mean? Like, you can get another colored sleeve. Look, there's a slim chance you're going to go to a dark blue team after this anyway, right? Like, I know they're out there. I know there's lots of them, but I'm not saying you have to throw it away in the trash can. I'm just saying we'll happily purchase you another one. We don't make very good money, and I keep bragging about the amount that I make, and that's a lie. It's a flat out lie that I make a lot of money. But we will put whatever money from our swear jar that we were going to give to charity into some sort of sleeve for you. I know they're probably very expensive, but
you want it. So you want a teal sleeve? Is that that's the choice?
I get it. Like, that might be too bright. It might be too much. A plain black sleeve. Plain black sleeve is fine. That's going to match the Serpientes jersey. It's going to match all their stuff. It'll make me happy. Would make me happier the teal. I'd be fine with the teal sleeve with the Serpientes jersey, to be honest. But that's a whole other thing. Enrique says Damon for PHNX mayor. Go D-backs. Nope, that's not.
I might know Enrique, actually. And haven't talked to him in a while. So if I do, what's up, man?
Yeah. Thank you for your super chat.
If
not for your message.
We're now family.
Your message I disagree with very much. I don't disagree with Josh Bell, though, doing an absolutely stellar job stepping in for Christian Walker because he was great. And I mean, and you might even say that he was slightly better than Christian Walker. I mean,
offensively, the numbers are very, very similar.
They're very comparable.
Christian Walker this season entering today was slashing 254, 338, 476. Josh Bell, while Christian Walker was on the IL, stepping in as a member of the Diamondbacks, he slashed 283, 356, 453. So he had an 809 OPS in that span, while Walker had an 814 OPS before getting hurt. So, yeah, Josh Bell, we talked about that move when it happened. His numbers for the season were not pretty, but he was really hot in his last week or so of games with the Miami Marlins. And the idea was, can the D-backs catch lightning in a bottle? Can they get a really solid month out of Josh Bell with Christian Walker on the injured list? And obviously cooled off a little bit in recent weeks, but an 809 OPS, I mean, that's pretty darn good. Offensively, he was able to approximate Christian Walker's production pretty dang well. Defensively is another question, right? Christian Walker is Christian Walker. We saw him make a really nice play early in this game. And Josh Bell, I think, has been fine at first base, but no one is really up to Christian Walker's level defensively.
No, defensively, and he did that tonight. He did the thing tonight. He immediately showed us in one play why Christian Walker is, so good over there. And it's great to have him back. It's great to have both of these guys in the lineup because they're both hitting the ball really well. And again, it just gives Torrey plenty of weapons as the season progresses and we get here closer to the end. The Diamondbacks are going to need all of those weapons with the way that this pitching staff has been handling these games. So that's not been great. But one more thing that we want to talk about that has been very great has been Corbin Carroll. And of course, we've talked about how he came back online starting on July 9th and everything has just been incredible for him. But Corbin Carroll won the National League Player of the Month and the National League Player of the Week. And I mean, his numbers just have been incredible. In August, Corbin /280, 342, 700 with 11 home runs, 24 RBI, a double, 4 triples, and 2 stolen bases.
Yeah, I think he had 28 hits and 16 of them were for extra bases. So, yeah, Corbin Carroll just continues to knock the cover off the baseball, a whole bunch of extra base hits. A lot of those home runs, 11 home runs in a month is crazy.
It's crazy.
A lot of those home runs were really important, right? I mean, the grand slam against the Mets the other day that was obviously instrumental in that game. He had a really big 2-run walk-off against the Washington Nationals early in August. That's a game that I think we're going to remember for the entire season. So, yeah, Corbin's been doing it in big spots, and he went from being, a guy who was really struggling in his sophomore season to the best player on earth, basically, in not very long. And I guess we shouldn't be surprised, right? With the guy who is as talented as Corbin is, and it's been clear for a while that he has an outrageous amount of talent at playing this game. We probably shouldn't be surprised that Corbin figured things out to the level of winning the NL Player of the Month award. He's been sensational here for a while.
They talked about it on the broadcast, but his mother said a very important thing in a tweet, a wonderful tweet about her son. And I just wanted to reiterate it here because I think this applies not only to Corbin, applies to Gino, but applies to guys that might still be struggling, right? And I know it's easy for us, especially this guy right here that doesn't have to face the music all the time, to make jokes about how bad guys are struggling and all of this stuff. But at the end of the day, the reason why Torrey does what he does is because he believes in these guys as people. And what Palin, Corbin's mom, said was, believe in people who put in the work day in and day out, but struggle in the moment. Life is filled with ups and downs. Support and encourage them during the low points. Enjoy the ride when they soar. Congrats, Corbin. And I mean, that's it right there, right? Like, it's so easy for us to literally scream, 3 letters, DFA, about any guy that's, struggling or doing bad. Get him off my team. I'm tired of this bum costing my team games and all of this, right? But there is a reason to it, and it's important as a fan of a baseball team to keep that in mind. It's easy to scream and yell and want Ryan Thompson to, never pitch again after seeing the way that tonight went. But let me tell you, from a person who never thought he was going to be friends with Ryan Thompson in a million years, I love that dude as a person. And I mean, we have all the differences in the world between the two of us. And, he's just still a really great human being. And I think that we all forget that from time to time as fans about athletes, and it's easy to kind of discard them like they're not a person. But there was a lot of people that wanted Corbin Carroll sent down. There was a lot of people that wanted Gino DFA'd. There's a lot of people that want Paul Sewald out of here. And, of course, if anybody else struggles, it'll probably be the same story. You got to remember that, part of this game is to believe in these people because we're also the same fan base that kicks and screams when those guys go elsewhere and find success with another team. The reason why the Diamondbacks don't want to make that mistake is because of guys that they've given up on that went elsewhere and were able to do the thing. So just a wonderful message from Corbin's mom. And just a reminder again about, these are people and these guys are all trying. They're putting in the work. Just the results aren't always there.
Yeah, Palin is really great. I mean, people probably see her tweets from time to time. She's obviously very, very supportive of not only Corbin, but of the Diamondbacks team as a whole. I do have a fun anecdote from the playoff run last year where I actually ran into Palin and her husband. So both of Corbin's parents in the Milwaukee airport during the Diamondbacks playoff run. And they came up to me, not the other way around, because they're just so, I guess, dialed into the local media scene. Awesome, and I was also wearing a PHNX shirt, so they knew exactly who I was. Probably that's sort of the dead giveaway. But yeah, I really enjoyed talking with them. Corbin is obviously just amazing what he's been able to accomplish at this stage in his career. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun getting to talk to them and get to know them more. So, in terms of like supportive parents, I mean, they are everything that I'm sure Corbin could possibly want in that regard.
It's awesome. So, Johnny Walker wants to end this on a much, happier note than that. He says, F the Dodgers. I couldn't agree more. I just can't say the word. But yes, that's absolutely, how we're feeling. And honestly, who cares about the Dodgers right now? That sucked. It's in the past. The Diamondbacks move on, and they still have a chance to secure their spot in the playoffs, which is all that really matters, whether it's through the division title or through a wild card spot. The Diamondbacks did what they did last year, being the final team in the playoffs for the National League. So at this point, just get in, make some noise once you're there, make something special happen, and we all get to watch it. So it's going to be fun. We'll be back here tomorrow night with another post-game show around the same time, so make sure to join us for that. Of course, in the meantime, you can follow us on Twitter. I'm at cap_caveman with a K. This maniac next to me is at Jesse N. Friedman. Of course, the person you want really running for mayor, the people's producer, is Damon Farrell. You can find him at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. We are Damon's Dogs. Bark, bark. And don't forget, Damon's Dogs vote for Montilla. That's just the way that goes. But anyway, well, depending on how I treat him.
Although apparently he's going to get a write-in vote from Enrique.
That's crazy, Enrique. I mean, there's not even a write-in vote section. I don't even know how it's going to be acknowledged. You're just throwing your vote away. But I do appreciate him. I appreciate you all. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. Again, we'll see you guys tomorrow night. In the meantime, we hope you enjoy this win, even though it doesn't really feel like one, and enjoy your evening. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when your mom supports you.
We all silly like the mayor.